welcome to We the Village, produced by Ron Hall, and I'm your host, Sharonda Allen. Today's topic is developing our youth and communities. I have Dominique Smith here. She is a proud native, resident, and Rotarian of Jersey City, New Jersey. She is an alum of Montclair State University and Rider University, where she received her master's degree in organizational leadership and higher education. She currently serves as a coordinator for the Hudson County Community College's Dual Enrollment Program, the LEAP, Learning Enables All Possibilities, as an adjunct instructor at Montclair State University, and as a speaker and facilitator on topics of college readiness, life skills, and student leadership development for New York youth. Dominique, welcome. Thank you. And I'm so glad that you're able to come back here with us.
Total honor for you to have me. I really appreciate being a guest on your show. It's always great to have wonderful conversation about important matters such as education and leadership.
Yes, excellent. So let me ask you, what do you teach at Montclair State University?
I teach the psychology of leadership, and I also teach the first year experience class, both of which are very, very, very valuable, opportunities for our students to be exposed to soft skills, life skills, and the preparatory tools necessary to be successful throughout college and beyond.
So that freshman seminar type thing sounds like my freshman course I had to take in college. It was University 101.
Basically.
And I think every college now has basically adopted that.
Right.
Because it's important. There are skills that you may not get in a particular subject area in college that you need in order to survive, that time management, those things that we might have needed to have embedded in growing up, but might not have had the opportunity to have it because folks were trying to just keep food on the table.
And that's where I come in. My experience as a college student, I realized how much was missing, how big of a gap there was in certain areas, especially, when you're in high school. The priority is preparing you for your SATs. The priority is preparing you to consider the idea of college and getting you there, but it's not a lot of preparation going into the soft skills, which really are hardcore, important, relevant skills that we seem to be overlooking. And so you find yourself in the first year experience class, which is an excellent opportunity to acquire those, but why aren't we doing it beforehand?
I agree, and I'm a high school educator, and those are some of the things that I do try to work on with my students. I've been doing service learning since like 2009-ish, and I find that service learning is where they have the opportunity to organize and to think and put things together and create. And I wish that more institutions would do that. There are a lot who do, but there are a lot of adults who are educators who are like, what is that? We have community service requirements, but the service learning is where they really get a chance to create their own service learning project, where I had some kids doing like Superhero Day. It was really great. So I think they might feel a little bit more prepared than some of their colleagues going in. And but also, when it comes to organization, you said you deal with the psychology of organizations.
Well, the psychology of leadership.
I'm
glad you brought
leadership.
up, no worries,
Okay.
I'm glad you brought up the service learning component, because there is, depending on the section of the group of students that I'm teaching with the leadership course, there is a service learning component, which is very helpful in the application. So when we talk about leadership, we're talking about theory and practice. We're talking about what is leadership to you? What is your personal definition? Let's have a conversation about that. I mean, in high school or in any other setting, who is talking to you about leadership? Who is asking you what your thoughts are on it? And how important is leadership really in any field? It's transformational, right? It transcends, it's transferable, it's everything, it's everywhere. So to be able to have your own definition and to identify and pinpoint what that means to you is key in terms of being a successful leader, a successful person, a successful citizen, a successful contributor across the board. So the service learning component helps them put two and two together. If I'm talking to you about servant leadership, how are you applying it? How do you see it plug in? Are you using the social change model? Are you conscious of yourself? Are you conscious of everybody else? Are you conscious of overall the needs of your community? And so when they're able to put those pieces together, they can talk about every theory with the examples and with its connections.
Absolutely. And there are different leadership styles. So, and I said, and you said leadership and I said organizations because in my mind, leadership has everything to do with an organization. I worked for an organization some years back, and it wasn't the best run organization, but I got the best lessons from a very uncomfortable situation that I would never take back, not in a million years. What I learned is that leadership is the calcium of an organization. If the head is sick, the body cannot function properly.
Very true.
When you see an organization that is dysfunctional, you must look at the leadership. If the body is not functioning properly, you must examine the head.
Right.
And I'm just curious as to, do you get the students to actually talk about the different leadership styles that they've seen? Because as a person who has to have a leader, a principal, I've been through 6 different styles of leadership in the past 7 years. And it's been interesting. And I've maintained who I am and my identity in leadership, and I've maintained my level of commitment and my ethics, and what I appreciate about myself, and I have this, it's like therapy right now. What I appreciate about myself is that I have not wavered in my mission and my goals, and it has paid off, and I'm able to really roll out a lot of the projects and things that I know are important for our kids, and I've been able to really put them in motion, and now this school year is going to be fabulous.
Of course.
Because I have a good leader.
Exactly. But part of that process of, not only just the leadership styles and the theory behind it, it's also, as you had mentioned, the knowledge of self.
Yes.
How do you lead? What's your preferred style? How do you respond to others? The whole element of emotional intelligence.
Yes.
How do you react to certain situations? Why do you react to certain situations in that capacity? Why do you work better with other people than you do with the folks on the other side of the room? And being able to figure out and read a space or a group setting, which many of us will always be in. Nobody works alone unless you're CEO of your company and you're by yourself as a consultant. But at the end of the day, you have to interact with people. And knowing yourself in that process, understanding your values, understanding what makes you tick, understanding what makes you drive forward, what your personal goals are, these are the types of conversations, if not in depth, they should at least be scraped superficially in the high school setting so that its seed is planted and those conversations and those thoughts are starting at an earlier stage.
I love that, because what I do with my students is I do the multiple intelligence inventory because I want them to understand, are you more of an extrovert? Are you more of an introvert? Are you
what those things are?
What are those things? I've always been the life of the party all my life, but I enjoy quiet Sundays at home alone.
Right.
I enjoy it. I enjoy being when everyone is away, or just to be able to hear my own thoughts echo in the room.
Right.
And that's kind of what happens for me. And I don't know if people and I was an only child, so I grew up with this solitary possibility, these moments. But then I was very social. I had a lot of cousins. I was around a lot of people. So what I also get my students to do in high school is to look at who they are. Know yourself. We're both doing similar work. My bachelor's is in sociology and that science of society, but in your psychological expertise, to know yourself and how you interact with others is very important.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a very beautiful thing that students need to delve into, because we're living in a global society.
Right.
We live in society. Unless you want to be the person who works at the lighthouse and you're far away and you only have to come back in every 6 weeks or so.
Right.
You got to learn how to deal with people.
Right.
And I think it comes with a lot of character, being honest with yourself.
Well, part of the being honest with oneself is figuring out what your purpose in life is. That's part of it. So there's the element of leadership, there's the element of emotional intelligence, there's the element of purpose. And if you're able to pinpoint what you're passionate about and what you know you're supposed to be doing, nothing's going to deter you from doing it. And you have a success map, you know what I mean?
Yes.
You figure things out along the way, the breadcrumbs begin to present themselves. Everything starts to fall in line when you can commit to what your purpose is and what your goals are. So again, if we're having those introductory discussions and those conversations about goal setting, about self-value, self-worth, what do you carry, what do you bring to the table, then our youth are graduating with not only their credentials in high school, prepared to move forward to get into college or their career or wherever they want to go into trade work, they are coming in with a consciousness of self and of their role in the society. They have something they need to contribute. They know that they want to contribute and that they are able to really focus their energy and their time on. So my whole stance is, if we can incorporate this in our standard curriculums, if we're not so caught up with the test prep,
yes,
right? If we can just kind of shift our focus away from the analogies and the multiple choice and the R equals P, like if you're driving here and Jimmy starts to get in the car an hour from now, I mean, that's not going to be as relevant unless you're going into engineering and that's your specific area of expertise, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, we need the people skills, right? I was having a conversation earlier today, and they were talking about, well, if you want to work with this team, we value humility, we value passion, and we value people skills. Yes. Everything else we can work with.
Right.
But if you are able to teach that and have those conversations embedded or threaded through the math, the science, the history, and everything else, then you've got people that care about the community.
Yes.
And through that type of education, through the self-development, through the professional development, through the personal development, now you have a holistic education. And I feel like that component is missing, or we are assuming our guidance counselors, they don't have the time. They don't have the time to see each and every individual student 24/7. There's more students than there are guidance counselors and more hours in the day. Right. But if they all had access to these types of discussions and conversations during school hours, and we weren't cramming it during the hopeful after 3 o'clock segments and the Saturday morning segments, that we were relying on our school community to do some of this work in conjunction with the families, then we would have more well-rounded citizens.
I agree, and I'm so filled right now with our conversation, Dominique, as always. And it just brings me back to the service learning, because the way I set up the service learning, they do all those things. They have to investigate, they have to communicate, they have to make partnerships, they have to do the math, they have to do the scheduling, they have to figure out the supplies, they have to find out how they're going to engage, they have to know they're on all these different things. And that's what I super love about it.
Problem solving, troubleshooting.
Problem solving, troubleshooting, critical thinking, collaboration, you know. I think those things are so beautiful. And as you began, we talked about purpose. I learned my life's purpose in my early 20s. Because when we're kids, we think we want to be this. I was supposed to be a singer. I was supposed to be
in theater,
entertainer extraordinaire.
Sure. I can see that.
Absolutely. I'm here. That was supposed to be me. And I am, because I have my TV show, and I still sing, and I still do things. But my purpose in my community as an educator, as a mother, I call my children in my community, they're my children. They're my kids, because I have to take care of them. Because what I am, what I know, what I do, what I feel, I can't do anything else but take care of those children. And that's my purpose. Right. I know that in whatever capacity it is, whatever reach, whatever way, that's what I do. And I do it over time. I don't always get paid for it. And that leads me back into what you said, purpose. Tell us about your brand, Live with Purpose. What does living with purpose mean to you?
So the living with purpose really came from a moment in my life where I recognized the importance of finding that passion and setting those goals and really chasing the things that I recognized that I would want to do for free. Like you were saying, okay, sometimes I don't always get paid, sometimes I'm working overtime.
Yes.
And I don't mind that. And I realized that, as an undergraduate student at MSU, when I saw that gap, I realized eventually my life's work would be helping other people find their purpose and helping other people, specifically our youth, who I would define from about 12 to 25, really establish themselves with regard to the personal and professional development. I found that I enjoyed doing the workshops, developing the material. It'd be 3 o'clock in the morning. I'd be like, I'm going to write a workshop. And I think that this is going to be helpful material that I can present in a community center or on a campus, in a lounge, and I think it's going to be meaningful to the student population. And it turns out that it was, and it's quite well received. So I do develop material. I am a content developer. I do have conversations on, effectively navigating your way through high school, establishing the most meaningful steps that you can take, some best practice steps that you can take to be successful as you progress through college, emotional intelligence, really taking what I learn and what I also teach my students in the psychology of leadership course and breaking that down and having those conversations, vision boarding exercises. Yes. And my main focus right now is particularly, my Jersey City University. Yes. Well, I say Jersey City University because it's part of my community. Mm-hmm. Hudson County Community College as well, St. Peter, anybody in my community in Jersey City. I'm really focusing my attention on the Jersey City community because it's up and coming, and there are a lot of talented youth there, especially in particular pockets or areas that are currently being further developed. And I think, and not even think, I know that it's not just the buildings that we put up. It's not just, fancifying spaces and adding cafes and restaurants, but it's the beautification from within. Yes. And that comes from the self-worth, and that comes from the kind of content and the kind of conversations and attention to those discussions about what you are here for. Because if you give somebody something that they are here for, if you help them find that, then they're committed to the overall development of the community. Then you have an improvement of space, you have an improvement of behavior, you have an improvement of grades. It's just a continued cycle. Then you have someone going for higher education. If they're not going for higher education, fine. They're going for a trade, they're becoming an expert in something, and it comes back to the economy. They have a home, they have a roof over their head, we've got food, we've got groceries, and so on and so forth. The whole mindset shift.
Absolutely. You have to instill that growth mindset. Mm-hmm. It goes back to the most basic levels of human sustenance.
Yes.
Being able to provide for yourself,
mm-hmm.
create shelter for yourself.
Yep, Maslow's hierarchy.
Maslow's hierarchy. And sometimes we have to go above and beyond. We have to go to the highest steps of Bloom's taxonomy, mm-hmm. to provide for the most basic levels of Maslow's hierarchy. Mm-hmm. And what I think is so beautiful about it, that, when we look at our students, we see so much potential in them. Right. And we know that we have to build on that human capital.
Yes.
And that's what that is, building human capital, because it's about sustainability.
Yes.
I do sustainability a lot in not only the service learning, but in service learning is that portion of sustainability that helps with building environmental capital, mm-hmm. economic capital, mm-hmm. human capital. Those things are so important for our students, and we have to get that terminology to them, right. because they don't always hear it in some of their common environments.
Right.
But those are the terms that they need in order to be viable in our 21st century society.
Yes.
And I love what you're doing. I love it.
Thank you.
And so I want to ask you, what inspired your passion for education and service? Where does this, I know where mine came from. I got a story too about it, but where does this come from? What is your story? Where did you come to knowing your purpose and getting this education and the service in here?
I spent a summer working for an organization called the National Student Leadership Conference, and I remember them giving me a particular chapter on goal setting, decision making, mm-hmm. and they said, you've got high school juniors and seniors all summer long, go. Mm-hmm. And that was the first time I sat down and locked myself in a space, and I said, I'm developing a lesson plan with these few pages, this chapter that they gave me, and I'm going to make this the most meaningful experience possible and pour knowledge into these students with what I have and what I love. And I realized that summer, after teaching 20 sessions with 25 students in class each mm-hmm. session, mm-hmm. that I would not end it here. That right. I would be teaching in some capacity, I would be coaching in some capacity, that I would be writing and developing lesson plans and material that would really benefit someone's self and professional development in the long run. Mm-hmm. And then just tripping into college, it just so happened to mesh into the transitionary period mm-hmm. With regard to the first year students all the way through senior year for the college students. So yeah, I was 19 when it hit me. Yeah,
that's beautiful. So, and I know that you deal with the continuity of your work, and you know, that's when you realized your calling, and that's a beautiful thing. So let me ask you, how has your movement been received by educators and students? Because I know that you're continuing to do it. So what is the response? What's the reaction?
I've been getting the word out. You want to be welcomed in your own community, and they've been doing a great job in Jersey City of having me help out. I have guest spoken at a couple of the high schools there. Mm-hmm. I am able to speak at initiatives such as the I Love Greenville project, mm-hmm. Where we expose our students and our community to college readiness discussions and conversations, and also have local institutions and jobs present their material at the event, and the students are able to walk away motivated, inspired, and something tangible in their hands that they can fill out and go ahead and participate in and follow up with calls and actually acquire a position or enroll in a school. Nice. I've been doing guest speaking for YMCA out in Westfield mm-hmm. for quite some time, so I'm all over the New Jersey area. Whoever calls, I'm there. I did the 7th annual Leadership Institute at Montclair State recently. I spoke on the worth and work of networking. Nice. So anything that anybody needs with regard to personal and professional development, I want to connect with your students. I have the experience from residence life. I have the experience mm-hmm. from student life and student development, and the high school experience as well. So I'm passionate about really reaching out to the youth and showing them that they have those transferable skills and that they can really link up with their passion and purpose and do something meaningful with their time on earth.
That is beautiful, absolutely. So let me ask you this, you're saying definitely that you want to let people know mm-hmm. that they have to live with purpose. How would one know if they are living with purpose? Just give us a brief thing about that. I know that can take all day.
Yeah.
But just give us a little something.
You're living with purpose when you wake up in the morning and you're not exhausted. Okay, wait, I'm lying. Because let's be realistic. Depending on what time we went to bed. No.
Right.
But you feel alive.
Yes.
You're focused. You're excited about the work that you're doing. You're excited about the projects that you're taking on. You're looking forward to making those connections with the people that you're going to meet. If you're doing an entrepreneurial initiative, you may at this point be your own boss, and you're mm-hmm. able to navigate your own hours. You create the life that you want, right? And in that process, maybe money is something that you're planning to arrive into that pocket. It will come, but the work that you're doing, you're not even thinking about it.
Right.
You're so thirsty to deliver and propose and pitch and craft. It is your passion.
You're on autopilot.
You're alive.
Yeah.
You're excited about it.
Yes. Everybody says to me, why are you so happy? Why are you so excited? I'm like, I live in gratitude. I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so happy to be here.
Right.
That's what I say. And my kids are like, you're always so happy. You're always in a good mood. I'm like, I try to be, and it's authentic. Mm-hmm. I don't like to be in bad moods. It doesn't feel good, and nobody feels good if I'm in a bad mood. So I try to walk in gratitude and walk in my purpose, and that's why I've been consistent, and that's why I'm still able to do what I've done, and I think that's an important thing.
Absolutely.
So let me just ask you, what's the next step for you?
Well, I am planning on putting together a couple of different projects. Right now I'm working on landing a producer for a Live with Purpose show, mm-hmm. and when I say show, I mean more along the lines of interviewing all of the leaders in the community, starting out with where I am, my hometown, of course, Jersey City, and really focusing on the women leaders first, right?
Yes.
Because I really want to show the young girls in the community, the young women in the community, how folks are making a true impact,
right.
In community government, in education, in any aspect. And so, big or small, whatever the role might be, they're doing something, and I want them to be celebrated for it and recognized and acknowledged for it. And I want those young folks to be inspired and want to go do something big as well. So I'm working on that along with college readiness book, so that our students can start to work on some exercises and begin to have those conversations. Again, right now it's not in our education, it's not woven in as much as I would like it to be in the curriculum. I would like to be that person that helps with that process. And then, of course, I do the speaking engagements as well. And eventually perhaps a doctorate in urban development and education, curriculum development, and long term, I would love to open up a leadership development academy in my community.
Nice. That sounds beautiful. So how can viewers request you as a speaker? You say you'll go anywhere, and
Absolutely.
you know, how does that work for you? Where do we go? What do we do? Who do we talk to?
You can go to livewithpurposesmith.com. Okay.
Livewithpurposesmith.com.
You got it.
And you can email her.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. You can email me at livewithpurposesmith@gmail.com.
Yes, and that's your hotline.
That's my hotline right there.
Okay.
551-233-8756. Give me a call, shoot me an email. I'll be there for your youth.
I love it. I'm so excited about what you're doing now.
Thank you.
Since the last time we sat and spoke and I interviewed you here, you've done even more.
A lot has changed, yes.
I love it. It's so beautiful, and I'm just so grateful to have you here. But in our last 2 or 3 minutes, can you just give the viewers and educators, you know, an idea of how to create opportunities for their youth that they work with? I mean, I create through service learning, and I don't get paid for it, but I know it's important. So I know with my purpose that I have to do that work pro bono.
Right.
So what are some other ways that other educators can create opportunities for students?
So they need to just simply think back to their youth, their moment. What do they wish they knew? What do you wish you knew when you were transitioning between high school and college? What do you wish somebody had spoken to you about even before high school? That you know, that had you known financial literacy, you wouldn't have got all those credit cards. Or had you known if you attended a community college for 2 years and aced those grades, right? You could have a scholarship and you can finish off at a 4-year institution, saving that money, maybe transitioning it and using the funds for other initiatives like purchasing a home or traveling, studying abroad. You know, what do you wish you knew? What do you wish that your guidance counselor sat down and said, hey, it's time for you to get a mentor. Is this the field of your interest? Let's figure it out. Grab an internship, you know, do an apprenticeship. So some of those pieces are in place. We're working towards it, but I feel like it's not happening fast enough. So we need to take the initiative and kind of implant and embed, maybe pro bono that stuff, like you're doing. But have a conversation with your officials, pull in colleagues. Everybody's got a different profession. Everybody's got a different expertise and passion and purpose. So pull all the people in your circle together and create something for your students, be it after school, on the weekend, at home, whatever it is. Whatever you give them is more than what they have and more than what they're getting academically.
Yes.
Give them the life skills and put those seeds and plant those ideas in their minds so they can begin to think and plan ahead and goal set and walk in purpose.
Dominique, beautiful, beautiful words.
Thank you. I try.
Thank you.
The truth.
And that's about, you know, empathy and reflection. How would I want to be treated? What did I need to have? And that's why I come about with my service learning as well. I love it. So eloquently spoken. I'm so excited right now. But I do want to say thank you for coming on to We the Village, Dominique.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
I'd love to have you back and have you talk to my kids. And thank you for tuning in to We the Village.